Good morning. It is early on Friday morning, getting ready to get outside for a little bit, get down to the gym, and then I actually have two little meetings this morning. So first I'm meeting with somebody in my building who would potentially be able to water my plants and kind of just check on things while I'm gone, which would be great because it's somebody that lives in our building and actually used to be a live-in caretaker here and is now retired, but he just offers these services for people in the building. So I'm going to chat with him about that this morning. And then I also ended up making a kind of last minute appointment with my doctor just to do a quick check-in. It's not like a full appointment, but just a quick video call because I wanted to give her a little update on some of the things that I've been noticing since our last appointment and really in like the last week or close to 2 weeks now, and just kind of want to make sure we got all of that like noted down before I do these additional gut tests, because I know that once I do those and get those results back, we're going to have a lot more stuff to go over and I don't want to have to like remember all the details of what's been going on kind of in between. So we're going to do a quick check-in. I'm just going to kind of give her a little download on like what I've noticed with my gut in the last couple of weeks, stopping all the supplements, and then also things like my Oura Ring data, my sleep and recovery scores that have been really higher than I've seen, and also to make sure that I have all the instructions for this split sample gut testing that we're doing so that I'm well organized and can get it done right. But first, gonna get a quick walk outside. It's still very hazy and smoky and bad air quality here, so I won't be spending too much time outside, but get that little bit of time, get down to the gym, get my workout in, and then get ready for these two meetings this morning. I'm just about to hop on the call with my doctor, but I also got an email this morning confirming that I do have a place to stay in Richmond. Yay. Sounds like it might have worked out actually really well because this place is like 12 minutes away from the barn where Freddie is. It's sort of right in the little town center, so there's a lot of shops or like grocery stores and stuff around. It'll be really easy to have everything I need right there, not have to like drive super far. Apartment complex looks pretty nice. They have a really nice looking gym, which is always a plus for me. So yeah, they're sending over some more information or like some paperwork that I have to fill out, but very relieved to feel like that has been nailed down now and I can keep moving forward with my plan to leave really I think a week from today.
What's up, Megan? We just have to talk about a few things, but I'm glad we get to chat to kind of check in about it. So you have all the test kits, right? Sounds like the doctor's data is like a 3 sample collection, like a 3-day collection, yeah. I should say. Just day 1 is going to be like your collection divided into 4, basically.
Right.
So
yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure that part made clear.
Yes, there were a couple things that I also just wanted to kind of have like on the record before I do this. I had been increasing my LDN. I think I got up to like 9. Okay. That was kind of when I started to feel like sort of foggy, groggy. I went back down to 6, and that seems to be good.
Okay.
After our last call where we went over the weird gut results, I was only taking 1 digestive enzyme with meals, and I was like, well, let's see what happens if I take 2. And I actually felt like I noticed kind of a noticeable difference when I did that. Then it was like, okay, and I got to stop taking everything before these tests. My recovery score has been higher than I've ever seen it ever since then, and like I feel noticeably better for like the last like maybe 10 days. Yeah, where I'm like, I'm not taking anything except for the LDN and like the hormones. Yeah, trend sort of happened so like almost on the day that I stopped taking supplements. That seems weird that it would be like just that. So I don't know if it's just the LDN or if it's something else entirely or nothing, I don't know. But even like the gut stuff, I'm like, I haven't really noticed a change in that, like not taking the enzymes.
That's so fascinating.
I know.
This didn't happen like last year, did it? Like there's not like a seasonal.
No.
Like, I don't.
So now I'm really curious to see what these tests show.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
I'm super curious.
It's weird.
I guess we'll kind of find out as time goes on.
Yeah.
You know, if like a weird blip or if it's
Right.
like signifies something else.
This is the 11th day in a row that my readiness score has been 90 or above. I think the biggest reason for that change is that my HRV, my heart rate variability score, has been going up. That's one of the metrics that goes into measuring your overall readiness score, and that's where I've noticed the biggest change, at least in these numbers over the last almost 2 weeks now. And I think that could possibly be more related to the low dose naltrexone and increasing how much I'm taking of that a couple weeks ago. So still kind of seeing if this is gonna be a trend for a while or if it's gonna change again. Since I've been feeling just a little bit better and my recovery scores have been so high lately, I have been pushing a little bit more in my workouts, which has been nice. It's been nice to feel like I can do that and also see that I'm still recovering really well. But it also means that I'm a little more sore than I'm used to. So I'm gonna head down to the gym and get a little bit of active recovery in today. I have always found that the best way to mitigate soreness is to get moving a little bit. And I did get outside for a few minutes, but our air quality alert situation is still really bad. And now it looks like it's gonna even go through Monday. And it's too bad because it's also been really, really nice out. Like right now, I think it's like 60 degrees. It feels really nice and cool. I would love to have my windows open, but definitely not going to be doing that. So I'll be sticking with the gym today to get my active recovery and get moving and hopefully keep these recovery scores going. Just made it over to the farmer's market, gonna grab a few things for the week. And I guess this will be the last time that I'm at the farmer's market for a while. I'm planning to leave next Friday to start my drive to Virginia. So it'll be my last Saturday morning at the farmer's market, at least here. I guess I'm sure I could find a farmer's market in Virginia as well. But one last stop at my local farmer's market, at least for the next little while. Super quick little farmer's market haul. I got some onions. I'm gonna make some more pickled onions this week. Got a big zucchini, some microgreens, and a bag of lettuce. Probably too much considering I am leaving in a week, but I can always give whatever I have left over to my parents or a friend or something before I go. Okay, I'm finally getting ready to do something that has been in the works for a while that I've talked about before, and that is partly data gathering, but also partly kind of science experiment. So I have 4 gut tests here, and I'm gonna be doing split sample testing, which means that I'm basically sending 2 tests to one company and 2 tests to another company all at the same time, so like from the same day, but putting it under 2 different names so that we can compare the results of 2 side-by-side tests. And this kind of came about because when I had done gut testing in the past and had been talking with my doctor about the results, I was always kind of asking like, how much do we really trust the results? Or like, you know, if I sent in test kits like every day for a week, would we get totally different results every day? Or kind of just like the accuracy of the tests and how much do we really want to base what we're focusing on or what kind of treatment protocols we're doing, if there's any question about whether the results we're getting actually are true. I mean, on the one hand, we're using reputable companies that she's used for a long time. We're not necessarily suspecting that like these results are totally inaccurate or anything like that, but just kind of as an interesting test, like I said, both to gather a bunch more data, because we'll basically be getting 4 sets of gut results back that we can look at and compare to previous tests, especially considering the last test we did just had some weird results. But also my doctor has a colleague that she has worked with before who publishes research, and she said that this would be something that we could actually put in writing and potentially kind of publish as like a research study of the accuracy of these gut tests. So I agreed to kind of be the guinea pig for this little experiment and to submit a bunch of these tests and see what we get. And hopefully in the end, not only will it be useful information for us in terms of my results, but also can be useful information for other practitioners who might be interested to see what we find with these split sample testing with these 2 companies and kind of get a better idea of the accuracy of these test kits. So my plan is to start these tomorrow. One of them is over 3 days. So you do samples over 3 days. And then once you have all 3, you send it in. The other test kit that I'm doing is just a 1 day. So because I want to get this done before I'm really trying to like pack up and leave next week, I wanted to start it tomorrow so that I can have them done by Tuesday and get them in the mail and just kind of have that off my plate before I leave. So I have a bunch of forms to fill out. I have a bunch of instructions that I just want to make sure I'm really clear on. It's pretty straightforward and I've done these before, so I don't think it's going to be that difficult. It's just going to be kind of a matter of keeping everything organized with all the different test kits and the different vials and everything like that, and making sure I'm not mixing anything up. So I want to make sure I am well prepared and don't have to be scrambling as I'm actually doing the tests to figure out what's going on. And then, like I said, I can be done with this and start focusing on getting ready to go, which, side note, I'm already starting to feel a little overwhelmed with what that is going to entail. Just like packing up my entire life to leave for a couple of months. Like every time I open a drawer or I like use something that I use on a daily basis, I'm thinking like, oh, should I bring this with me? Should I start, packing these things? Like I have the urge to start like organizing things, even though I know that won't necessarily make sense because a lot of stuff like I am gonna use between now and the time I leave. If I start the packing process too early, I think I'm just gonna feel a little more scattered and discombobulated than if I like take a day or 2 before to really get everything organized in one go. But it's just sort of like a lot to think about, and my mind has kind of started spinning on all the things that I'm gonna have to do in this next week to be packed up and ready to go. But first things first, going to get all these forms filled out, get my test kits organized, and I'm really interested to see what kind of results we get with this in a couple of weeks. So on Sunday, I did decide to get a little bit of a head start on packing and just start to organize some of the things that I knew I wouldn't be needing over the next week, but that I wanted to bring with me. So packing some sheets and towels and just miscellaneous items that I could organize ahead of time. And it felt good to get started on this, but definitely going to have a lot of stuff left to pack and get organized so that I can get out the door and start my road trip on Friday. Back into the 90s today. Yesterday was the first day that my recovery score dipped back down into the 80s in the last 12 days or so. So I'm glad to see that after a good night's sleep, this got back up. I had a not so great night's sleep on Saturday night. So then yesterday, my recovery score was a little bit lower and some of the pain and discomfort that I normally feel had started to come back. And I'm still feeling that a bit today. I'm definitely less comfortable than I was over that initial 12-day stretch, but it's good to see that my heart rate and HRV numbers are showing signs of good recovery, and sleep was a little better last night. So hoping I can keep my recovery scores high during this week while I am packing up and getting ready to leave. Okay, the first 2 out of 4 gut tests are ready to be shipped off. Get these sent out today, and then the other 2 will be ready to go tomorrow. So those ones were done over 3 days, and I'll be finishing that tomorrow and sending those ones off. And then in a couple of weeks, I'll have 4 sets of results to go over with my doctor. Took a little break from sitting at my computer to start doing a little bit more packing and organizing. And as you can see, my sort of non-strategic strategy is just to pull out like every single bag that I own and start packing stuff in there. So anything that I'm coming across that I know I want to bring with me that I'm not going to need in the next few days, I've just started to put into bags that I can transfer to my car later. The sort of tricky part is that there's things that I'm definitely going to want to keep handy during the trip, or like I'm going to be staying in hotels for a couple of nights while I'm doing the drive, and things that I want to have with me in the hotel or don't want to leave in the car, and just trying to kind of strategically organize things so that I'm not completely unloading my car every night or searching around to find the things that I need, etc. So it'll be a little interesting to see how much stuff I end up with and if I can sort of Tetris everything into my car, but feeling at least slightly less overwhelmed by everything I have to do between now and Friday. Good morning, it's early on Wednesday. I've been waking up a little bit too early, maybe the last couple of nights. I think I'm starting to anticipate leaving and just kind of all the things I have to do still to get ready to go. So my sleep has been a little bit not as good as usual, but probably to be expected before a big change like this. But today I actually have 2 appointments that were scheduled a long time ago, but ended up being really perfect timing. I have a massage this morning, which will be really nice to just kind of de-stress and decompress, and also just help my body feel better before getting on this road trip. And then this afternoon I have an appointment for my car to get serviced, which again was just like routine maintenance that I had to schedule probably like a month ago, and it just ended up working out perfectly to be right before I'm doing this long road trip. So we'll be good to get everything checked out, make sure my car is good to go. I also yesterday finished up the other 2 gut tests and sent those off. So all 4 of those test kits have been mailed off, and we'll be waiting for those results in a few weeks. And because I finished those tests, I was able to start reintroducing supplements. So just starting off with kind of the simpler things that I know I'm really not likely to have a reaction to, but also kind of noting anything so that if I do feel like I'm reacting to something, I can sort of backtrack and reintroduce things one at a time if I really need to. But so far I've started doing my fish oil, vitamin D, vitamin C, and magnesium again, probably just for the last 24 hours or so, but so far so good. We'll kind of keep those going for a few days before I ever introduce anything else. I don't think that's what's affecting my sleep the last, I don't know, 2 nights, because I hadn't started taking supplements again the first night that my sleep felt a little bit like harder to fall asleep, and then I was waking up really early. So kind of hoping these next 2 nights before I hit the road will be a little more solid night of sleep, but either way I'll make it work. Well, my readiness and sleep scores are definitely down a little bit. Nothing crazy, but I think just basically less sleep last night and the night before than I normally would get. And I definitely still feel tired at night, just not as sleepy, so it's just taking me longer to fall asleep. And then I'm still waking up the same early time I normally would, so definitely not worried about it, but it is nice when these numbers are higher. Okay, just finished my massage. That felt great. I'm really glad I was able to get that in a few days before leaving. Now I really need to fill up my car with gas, and I was hoping that I would have time to like kind of vacuum out my car, maybe even get a car wash, but I do have to get home for a meeting, so maybe it'd be better anyway just to wait until I'm at the end of the road trip once I get to Virginia to do like a full car clean out after I will have been like basically living in here for 4 days. car appointment is finished. Everything looks good, so now I feel like I'm really good to go. The not so great news is that ever since my massage this morning, it seems like my body has kind of been revolting against that for some reason. Sometimes this will happen when I get a little bit stressed out, especially like pre-travel, where sometimes instead of getting like a really good release from a massage, it'll feel great during the massage, but then afterwards, it's almost like my body over responds or kind of rebounds and tightens up. So I'm actually feeling fairly uncomfortable and just like a lot of tension now. So not ideal. I definitely wanted to go into the road trip feeling as good as possible and at the very least not feeling like this. I can get into not my chiropractor, but there's another chiropractor that works out of the same office who I've seen before times when my chiropractor's out of town, and he can fit me in tomorrow. So I think I'm gonna do that and just see if I can kind of clear out some of this tension before I leave on Friday. But it's just a little frustrating because I had that whole stretch of like almost 2 weeks where I had like almost none of my usual pain. I had none of this tension, none of the gut issues. It all just was like so quiet and so easy for those 2 weeks. My energy was better. Like I said before, I wasn't counting on the fact that that was like gonna be a trend or that was gonna continue forever, but having that stretch of time where things feel that good, it just makes it that much harder when it kind of goes back in the other direction. So feeling a little bummed out by that. It's not fun to be uncomfortable, but all I can do is control what I can control, keep trying to get sleep, get some movement, just do the things that I know will be helpful in time, and worst case scenario, I just have to kind of ride it out and wait for this to calm down. But tomorrow's gonna be the big packing day, getting as much as I can finished up, packed into my car, and then Friday morning I'll just kind of finish up the last minute stuff and hit the road. Well, I've pretty much gotten everything packed up that I can for tonight. Just have a few things that I will need to finish packing up in the morning, but I don't have to leave super early. I've kind of split this up over 4 days so that I don't have to do so much driving on each day, which is kind of nice because that way I don't have to like try to get out of here as early as possible. And since it's a Friday, I want to at least wait until like rush hour traffic dies down. So I'm just gonna kind of not put any pressure on myself to get out of here early in the morning, get up, maybe get a little bit of a workout in and finish packing up, and then hopefully get out the door by like 10 o'clock at the latest. But fingers crossed I can get a good night's sleep tonight and be ready to go tomorrow. So I'm gonna end off the video here, and we'll be kicking off next week's video with 4 days of driving to Virginia and then getting settled into my rental apartment down there. Thank you very much as always for watching, and I will see you next week on the road to Virginia.